All right, folks, this is the Lenovo Legion Slim 7. It's a thin and light gaming laptop, so it's going to sit below something like a Legion 7i or a Legion 5 Pro or a Legion 5 for that matter. It's going to be slimmer and lighter than a Razer Blade 15. Those run close to 4.8 pounds. This is 4.2 pounds. And like I said, it's going to be thinner too. It's actually not too much thicker than this ultrabook right here. This is my favorite ultrabook. This is the Razer Book 13. Check this out. I mean, really? That's not too bad. Now, for reference, I've got a Lenovo Legion 5 Pro. This is my go-to gaming laptop. It's on the top right now. Much thicker, right? Much thicker. Also heavier. This is like 5.1 pounds or something like that. It's a tank, but I love it. I love the design. I know it's not for everybody, but hey, this is a review of the Slim, not the 5 Pro. I do have a review of the 5 Pro on the channel. Okay, so thin and light package. Even the power brick is smaller than what you'd see in a regular gaming laptop. It's 230 watts, and it shows. It's definitely smaller. It's like the size of a hand versus the size of a shoe. Okay, neither of those two things is true, by the way. It's just smaller. Okay, so we have this tapered design. It's mostly made of aluminum and ABS plastics. It's very thick and rigid. I don't really feel like this is cheaply made or anything like that. It's not a Razer Blade, it's not a Razer Book, but it's also not like a ThinkPad, you know what I mean? Okay. So we have two USB-C ports on the side with some ventilation. On the back, hallmark of the Legion series, 3 I/O ports. We have 2 USB-As. I was doing some testing. So anyhow, 2 USB-A ports and the proprietary power. This is the same power plug that you'll see on basically every Lenovo laptop that doesn't use USB-C. Headphone jack, a full-size SD card reader, so that's pretty cool if you're into that. And then that's it. So we have this really nice branding in the corner where it says Legion. It doesn't light up or anything. And then up here we have the Lenovo badge. It's found on almost all of their laptops, sometimes in different places, but mostly right there. On the back, just a grill. The feet, though, are not super tall. I don't know if you'd get better airflow if they made them super tall, but I appreciate that they're not super tall, so there's that. You also get Legion branding on the foot. Very thoughtful design. Now, the hinge does allow the display to go nearly flat, which is cool. And what you find once you open this up is a really nice keyboard. I'm surprised by this keyboard because Lenovo has so many different models. There are Pros, there are I's, because the I's have Intel, the non-I laptops have AMD. There's just a smattering of different devices Lenovo offers. And yet, they found a way to put a good keyboard in this small design that has really excellent backlighting, which I'll demonstrate here in a bit. The trackpad's pretty good too. I think they could have shifted it a little bit. I would hope they did. They try to align it with the space bar, and at least it's not so far left that it interferes with your left hand when you're on WASD, but still, it's a little off-center to me. But that's just the way it is. Now, a lot of 15-inch gaming laptops do not include a number pad these days because they're for gamers. But I think what a lot of people fail to understand, at least these designers, is that we're not talking about full-time gamers here. People have jobs and then they game, right? So you're going to be on your computer, maybe doing some spreadsheets, calculator type work, and you need that number pad, for 5-6 hours a day, and then you're going to game for like 2 hours a day, right? Okay. All right, so back to the design. I love how this is a nice dark black, and then the keys are gray, like a slate gray with white lettering. That looks really good. Let me go ahead and log into Windows, and then we'll take a look at the backlighting, and we'll talk about performance, do a demo of The Witcher 3 running on this thing as well. Okay, so if you hold down Function and press Q, you'll notice that the power button, the ring around it changed colors. It went from white to blue. Now in white mode, it's automatic. So the power is going to run to the CPU and the GPU depending on demand. So there's some algorithm working there. Press it again, I'm back to auto. You press it and it turns blue. It's just in a quiet mode, so it gets limited amount of power. This does have a mux switch, or as Lenovo Legion calls it, hybrid mode. I just disabled hybrid mode between filming because I wanted to really unlock the GPU's power. So if you have hybrid mode enabled, right, so your mux switch is on, I guess, then the GPU is going to be running, the discrete GPU, all the time. If you enable it, right, then it's going to be, did I get that backwards? Okay, look, You can either have the GPU run all the time, or it can run when it's needed. Now, if it runs when it's needed, then, which would be hybrid mode on, then it's going to be better battery life, right? Now, I've seen people on Reddit claiming to get 7-8 hours of battery. I was hoping to replicate that, even with the refresh rate lowered down to 60 hertz from 144, and even with the hybrid mode enabled, better battery life mode, all that stuff, I couldn't crack 5 or 6. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's just my model. Maybe it's just my work habits. I'm not sure. But if this thing can consistently get 7-8 hours of battery life, it's a winner. It's a super winner. Because regular gaming laptops, they don't really climb north of 4 or 5 hours. And then, of course, an ultrabook, you should be able to get around 9 to 11 hours of battery life. There are exceptions, like the Dell XPS is pretty good. That Razorbook 13 I showed you earlier is phenomenal. I get 12 on that pretty often. So, yeah, it kind of depends on what you need, of course. But it doesn't kind of depend. It absolutely depends on what you need. But I would say in this case, with the Legion Slim, 7-8 hours battery, if you can do it, and it doesn't like interrupt your workflow because the screen's too dim or something, that's pretty darn awesome. Okay, enough of all that. Let's talk about keyboard backlighting. So, if I hold down function, some of the main keys light up. Now, obviously, with the function row, that makes sense. Keyboard brightness with the up and down arrows, that makes sense. But you might be wondering, Joe, why are Q, R, and U lit up? Let's find out. So function Q, as I mentioned, is going to change the battery allocation, okay? Function R changes the refresh rate. How freaking cool is that? You don't have to go to your desktop, right click, go to display properties, etc. You can just function R that bad boy, and your refresh rate changes. Now, I just realized I misspoke earlier. I said I lowered the refresh rate from 144 to 60 to conserve battery. It's 165. So when we talk more about the display, I'll reaffirm that. Now, function U, the heck does that do? Let's see. Oh, rad. Okay, check this out. Okay, so on the back, with those rear ports, it represents pretty well, okay? Because you can kind of see what's going on if you were looking heads down, because this is black and the lettering is white. But if you hold down function and press U, it lights up. That's rad. Now, I did identify what I think is a problem. They need to find a way to light up that power icon. On the Legion 7i 2020 model, which is an awesome laptop that did have a hinge issue, it was the same thing. This didn't light up. But on the 2021 model, it did. So how the heck did they pull that off? I don't know. All right. Now we're back. Let's talk about this display. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Okay. 1080p, not super bright. That's the one problem with this display. It looks good. I don't have one of those fancy things to measure the color gamut. I'm not fancy enough to even know what a color gamut is. But I can tell you that when I use this thing, I'm happy. How does that sound? It's nice and smooth. The colors are, they're bright and stuff like that, or they're contrasty, right? Like I can tell the difference between the colors. I think that's what color gamut actually is. But anyway, I like this display. But the problem is it doesn't get super bright. Even if I were to plug it in, it doesn't get much brighter. So if you're outdoors and you're using this sucker, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. All right, now we're back to plugged in. Oh, I didn't finish the keyboard conversation. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, so you can go to Lenovo Vantage application and where you can adjust like the battery settings and mess with the hybrid mode / muck switch, but you can also use that to configure the backlighting, or you can hit function spacebar and you get different lighting effects, right? So let me find the one that I think makes it look. Here it is. Okay, so hopefully this is coming through. I know I've got a crazy lighting situation right now, but the keys are exceptionally bright. Like I am floored at how bright these are. You don't usually see keys this bright on a laptop this inexpensive. Look at that. That's pretty great. So how inexpensive? Great question. This laptop, it of course varies depending on the model. There's a 4K model, there's a 3050 Ti model, the 1080p panel. This exact one right now is $1,300 on sale at Best Buy. This is late January. I don't know what the prices will be by the time you guys see this, but it's been on sale pretty much the whole time it's been out, as far as I can tell. If they do not make a 6000 series AMD version of this, right? They don't update it for 2022. This may be hard to find. and I think the prices will be pretty good. So put those two things together, right? Hard to find, good prices, and it's going to be a steal if you can actually get your hands on it. Now, I haven't talked about the trackpad because there isn't much to talk about. It's a good trackpad. I didn't have any problems using it. I did use a mouse a lot of the time though because I'm a normal human. But yeah, I don't think you'll hate the trackpad. But you're not going to be like, this is the worst laptop ever because of the trackpad. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I'm going to fire up Witcher 3 and show you how that runs. I'm just going to spoil it for you now. It runs pretty well. And then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, this is Far Cry 6 running at 1080p. Everything is set to high quality, high settings across the board. No dynamic resolution scaling or anything to help performance. This is just raw performance. The fans have been maxed out since I launched the game, unlike Witcher 3 where it ramped up and down, maxed at 57 decibels. This is just at 57 decibels, so I didn't bother to bust out the decibel meter to read out to you. But I will read out the frames. This whole time that I've been talking, we've been around 80 to 83 frames per second. Just dropped to 79, 77, up to 84, 81. Mid-70s. It's pretty consistent so far. I think I already climbed that thing. 77, 72. I'm going to fire off some shots. Well, that's pretty. 84, 91, 90. So good performance off of Far Cry 6, 1080p, not bad. Here's the Witcher 3 running at 1080p with the high preset. And I've got the frame rate unlocked, so it'll go as fast as it possibly can. I'll go ahead and call out the FPS as we go along because it's hard to read in the top left-hand corner. I'm using Steam. So anyhow, I also have a sound measurement tool, so I can tell you how loud the fans are running. I'm going to point the microphone towards the center of the keyboard, but kind of right next to the monitor, if that makes sense. So it should be near the exhaust, but not so much that it sort of, ruins the experiment here. Okay, I'm going to just tell you right now, I'm inside Kaer Morhen, beginning of Witcher 3. I'm at 103 frames per second. As I move the mouse around, there's a little bit of jumping. Drop down to 94, pop right back up to 103. And as far as noise goes, we're at 50.7 decibels. So here we go. (108), 47 decibels. It's quiet. 129 frames per second. 52 decibels. Fans kicked on. 111 frames per second. I don't remember if I had the key or not. Looks like I do. Nope. 52.6 decibels. 107 frames per second. I don't remember how to get the key. May have to talk to Yen. (96 FPS), 52 point something decibels. (101 FPS), 52.7 decibels. Drop down to 89. 111, 52.4 decibels. Thought I got the key. Anyhow, alright, let's not spend any more time seeing how bad I am at games. So, solid performance on Witcher 3. Mostly smooth, couple of jumps here and there. The fans have kicked on. So they're at 52.5 decibels. This is the loudest I've heard the fans roar, subjectively. But that's not too loud. That's pretty decent considering the performance you're getting on... It is an older game. It's a well-optimized game too. But it's a great freaking game. So you should play it if you haven't played it before. Okay, it's time for my thoughts and feelings. So I checked out Lenovo's website. Again, here we are late January. And boop. And here's the thing. There's a 3050 Ti model with 8 gigs of RAM. And it's running for $1,100 on Lenovo's website. Normally $1,500. I wouldn't spend $1,100 for a 3050 Ti with only 8 gigs of RAM. Splurge for the 3060 if you can find it, but it wasn't even listed on Lenovo's website, and here we are in late January. So by the time you see this, which I'm hoping will be early March, there's probably going to be hardly any stock, which really sucks. It's a very nice laptop. If you want something that you can use for work, right? It's got the horsepower and it's got the capability to play games pretty darn well too, as you saw with Witcher 3. This is a great laptop, man. I'm really surprised by this. Now, I would highly recommend that if you're interested in this laptop, don't run out and buy it yet. Check out the Hardware Canucks channel on YouTube. Those guys do a very good job on all of their laptop reviews where they do performance testing. So they set up different scenarios, different applications, and they test the difference between the laptop that you're inquiring about and then other ones that they have available or the ones they've tested in the past. They do a really good breakdown. They did one on the Slim 7, and as I recall, it's been a while since I've watched it, maybe like 6 months, but as I recall, they found that it was a good performer, but substantially below something like a Razer Blade or Legion 5 Pro, which we've already established. Those are bigger, heavier, more powerful devices. But what they don't do, what those other gaming laptops don't do, is travel well. This thing travels well. So I have a Legion 5 Pro. I also have a gaming desktop. So if you're like me and you have a better way to game when you're at least, you're at your home office or something, then getting a 5-pound gaming laptop, it doesn't make a ton of sense, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it if that's what you're into. Like you want to get every possible frame and you're gonna be plugged in. But if you need something for travel, this is what I would have bought if I even really understood what this device was and that it existed at the time. So, I have a Razer Book. This is another laptop from Lenovo that I'm testing below it. It's an OLED display. It's awesome. But anyway, that Razer Book, it's awesome. I really like it. But I could get a similar experience out of this with a bigger display and also be able to game on it. So I could have taken two devices, right, an ultrabook and my Legion 5 Pro, my gaming laptop, and converged them into this, which is a nice, healthy balance. It doesn't get as bright, which is a problem for me, but the keyboard's awesome with the number pad. And it does have some gaming performance. I do wish that battery life were better, though. That's the biggest hang up that I have with it. So this is a rare device that I don't think you'll see from other manufacturers. And if you're interested, again, check out Hardware Canucks for a little bit more coverage. I think they do a better job than me. And obviously, as they have like a gazillion followers, and I've got like Fred. But anyway, and you, unless your name's Fred, then I've got two Freds. So check it out. Thanks for your time. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.